Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whenever you guys are watching this, whenever everybody is watching this. Welcome to episode 3. We made it this far. Who knew? Welcome to episode 3 of the Nxt Up Fantasy show. Introducing myself, my name is Will. Guess you can call me the moderator. I don't know what you guys want to call me. I'm just the guy that's just asking questions. I'm the Max Kellerman from the old school around the horn. So along with me is my buddies. Let's go ahead and first meet up with Mike Thesis. Mike T, how you doing today?
Doing well, man. It's a beautiful Thursday. Happy to be here with my guys once again. Just happy to talk about fantasy football with you guys. Seasons are about to start, so it should be really interesting. And I think we have some good tips for you guys today on what you can do in your drafts and all that good stuff.
That's what's up. That's what's up. And who we're going to be interviewing practically for the next couple of minutes after his introduction is the scatterbrain himself, Manny. Manny, what's up? What's going on?
What's up? You're interviewing me? No one told me this. I can tell you what not to do in a draft because I just got done with one and it's I'm pretty disappointed with it. So,
well, and that's where we're going to pretty much start with. We're recording a little bit later than we usually do, and that's because Manny wanted to pretty much be his own guy and do these drafts all by himself and not at least let us know or like at least help out or whatever. But that's fine. That's okay.
I should have done it online. Then you guys would have actually helped me and I would have done better.
I think that would have been fun. So here's my question. It was, so for everyone that's watching, it was a 2-quarterback league, which is, if it's not one of the things that that's the basics, then it's like kind of something that we're not super used to. So with it being a 2-quarterback league, just generally, how did you feel about your draft coming in? And I guess, what do you expect from your team?
I expect mediocrity, to be honest. I was the third pick, 12-man team. My first pick was Justin Herbert. And with the 2-quarterback league, you want to get your first quarterback probably in the first round, right? Because I'll tell you right now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 quarterbacks went in the first round and then 6 again in the second round. So you want to kind of lock up your quarterback, your QB1 early in these 2-quarterback leagues. So I got Justin Herbert. First guy got Jonathan Taylor. Second was Josh Allen. And then I came up and I was like either Lamar or Justin Herbert. Lamar kind of scares me because he gets the stomach bug every other week. He doesn't have the targets like Justin Herbert, and it just seems like Justin Herbert can stay on the field a little bit more than Lamar Jackson. Yes, I'm giving up the rushing yards from Lamar, but I kind of sacrificed that for not having someone that's going to have diarrhea before the game. So
I hope Lamar Jackson is actually watching this and just realize what you just said about him.
Am I wrong? Am I wrong? He has diarrhea every other week.
No filter, Manny.
Am I wrong? Mike, tell me if I'm wrong.
No. I mean, something with the stomach.
He can't eat cheese.
I'm not a medical doctor, but it's a problem, whatever it is.
But something happens. That's all. But it's always interesting to try something new, something different with quarterback leagues or with fantasies in general. I recently signed up and I have no idea what I'm going to be doing because this is a interesting concept. It's a guillotine league. Guillotine league. Have you heard of that?
No.
Sounds dangerous.
It is dangerous. So this is what happens. So it's a total of 16 teams. So I'm going to be doing a draft with 15 other teams. And the team that has the lowest score each week, not only are they out of the league, but they have to give up every single one of their players and put them into the waiver wire.
So, dang, that sucks.
Right?
Yeah,
so, and on top of that, again, this is a 16-teamer. So there's going to be less, like, it's not going to be like the balanced teams that you're used to on a 12-team or even a 10 league where it's practically super teams everywhere. But no, it's a total of 16 teams. So like if you got the first pick overall I mean, yeah, you'll have a decent player, but you got to wait for 30 something more picks, 30 to 31 more picks just to get somebody else. It's like as if you're in the real NFL and just waiting for 31 more picks just to get your next person. It's dangerous, it's scary, it's creepy, and I think it's a winner takes all. I believe it is, but at the same time, it sounds so damn fun.
Does it until you lose week 1?
It does. I just can't. Again, I just can't have the lowest point total. As long as I don't have the lowest point total, then I'm still alive, whether I win or lose. So
My
it's
question is, so the free agents, are they like the lowest team, like the second lowest team gets to pick first? Is that how it works, or is it like a
it's I believe it's auction style. So so it's a combination of two things I never done in a league, and that's play an auction league where everything is like where you buy everything with fob, and this guillotine league. Those are all brand spanking new to me, and I've never done any of those in my life. So to actually hear any of these actually go down, it's insane. So I don't know exactly. I'm not sure if that's exactly the type of advice that we give on this show, but but if anybody does know, if anyone has any idea of what to do when it comes to that type of drafting, please definitely let us know.
Where are you drafting?
I'm going to need the damn help. What was that?
Where are you drafting, and what is it, standard or PPR?
It's PPR, and I think it's going to be on Yahoo.
And you said that's the 2 quarterback one?
No, it's not 2 quarterback. That's the guillotine. So okay. I might have to end up doing two quarterbacks. Well, 2 or maybe 3. I don't know.
Wait. So your whole team points add up?
I'm gonna say my starters.
Okay, so it's like 1 quarterback, and then okay,
so 1 quarterback, like two running backs, receivers, et cetera, et cetera. That's still the same.
Okay, so you definitely want like a top 12 pick, right?
Yeah, so that everything could go smoothly. Would you want?
I would technically.
I guess in this case, would you want would you want to be kind of in the mid to late area, like a number 12 or a number 11, or out of 16, or would you still want to have like the number 1?
7, because you're in the middle. You're close to the front end, so you'll pick, like, let's say Dalvin Cook. You have to wait a while, but then you get your 3-4, or your second round quick and your third round type quick. So you get 3 kind of like higher tier players. Yeah, you're gonna have to wait a little longer, but those 3 higher tier players will come in handy.
So simply, you'll have a better chance of having a balanced team.
Yep.
If you're directly in the middle.
Not directly, because 8 would be directly.
Or just about the middle. So 7, 8.
7 or 9 would probably be the best for me.
7 or 9.
Because I mean, who's going 7 overall? It's like Dalvin Cook. Are you happy with Dalvin Cook? Yeah. Are you happy with Dalvin Cook? And then when you come back around, it's gonna be, you gotta add like a lot of players, but you could end up with like what? If you go another running back, you end up with like Aaron Jones, Zeke Elliott, and then you could get another wide receiver like Mike Williams or someone.
Yeah, AJ Brown. It's not going to be anyone that's too. It's not going to be anyone that's too consistently giving you a decent floor. It kind of sounds like to me that like you'll eventually have to have some of those players where they're going to have spiked weeks, and then from there just hope for the best as far as you actually guessing which one of those weeks that they actually go off on, and you start them at the same time. So I believe that draft is next week. So if I do get into it, I'll update you guys for sure, and I'll let you know how it goes.
I'll say one thing just to help you out a little bit. Matchups are going to be crucial. The weekly matchup will be crucial in that league. So, you're always going to want to just make sure that you're setting your lineup based on whoever you feel is going to be better that week. Might not be a better overall player, but for that week. So if I were you, I'd probably look at week 1, and I would draft based on who I think had the best matchups for week 1. And then worry about week 2 when you get there, because
when you get there.
you never know in a league like that, a guillotine league. So yeah, just those weekly matchups are going to be crucial.
Bye weeks too. If you make it far enough, bye weeks are going to be huge.
I mean, by the time that
right now,
by the time that we get to where the bye weeks matter, well, bye weeks start at week 4, but like I'm thinking like, well, yeah, by the time that we get to week 4, there's going to be 3 other teams that have already been eliminated. So from there, you have to ask yourself, all right, who's going to be the person that's going to be more in an advantage when it comes to joining your team, because the amount of FOB that you get for the season is only 100. Mm-hmm. So you have to choose carefully as far as like how much you're betting on people and things like that. And on top of all that, like with some of the free agents compared to the team that gets knocked out, like who's more important, the free agent or like, I don't know, like Allen Robinson or whoever's on their team, or whoever was on their team that could probably help you boost yourself a little bit better. So that's actually like I said, it's an interesting league. Didn't expect us to talk too much about it, but like it was.
I like it.
It's a solid idea. I mean,
I wouldn't want to play it, but I would want.
But it's still interesting, right?
I want to know your weekly stuff. So.
I'll need a lot of work on that. So with that, let's go ahead and start off with how we normally start, with news and notes. And there's not really much notes and news out today, but there is some things that kind of grabbed my attention. So one of the first things that we talked about, I believe in the second or the first episode, was we were talking about running back by committee situations. So one of the teams that came up was eventually later that we talked about was the Washington Commanders, where Antonio Gibson is out there. And also there's a rookie who's done pretty decent, Brian Robinson, I want to say. And the biggest thing that caught my attention was Antonio Gibson won last week in his preseason game. He didn't start. It was Brian Robinson who started, who was the rookie that I couldn't think of as far as the name off the top of my head at the time. But Brian Robinson not only started along with Carson Wentz and the rest of the Commanders, but this week Antonio Gibson is set to become the primary punt returner. So that is a huge drop from what Antonio Gibson was to who he is now. So not even the team, not even the coaches on the team are really that big of a fan of his, if it's to the point where they got him demoted down to the punt receiving team. So I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on that. Like, does this help? Well, definitely it'll help Brian Robinson at least get people's eyes as far as attention. But do you feel that with Brian Robinson having a bigger role, do you feel it's possible that he could be someone that you can look to as a flex player, definitely for maybe even a running back 2 or anything of that matter? Let's go ahead and go to Manny on that.
So there's usually one rookie running back statistically in the last couple of years that makes the top 10. So it's a good play. But you do have J.D. McKissick in the backfield still that can catch the ball. So I believe if Antonio Gibson's getting dropped pretty much to the punt return, I could see it being a split backfield with J.D. McKissick, because when J.D. McKissick's on the field, he does his job, right? My biggest thing is, can he pass block? Because McKissick can. So not as well as Antonio Gibson. That's why he was the starter. But if he could pass block just as good, he could be. Last year Antonio Gibson was going like in the second round. It all comes down to that O-line too. They do have a better quarterback. I say that, but then you got Henneke was actually really decent as a quarterback. So, and Wentz has been kind of bad. But Wentz, you see what happened with Jonathan Taylor when Wentz loves to hand the ball off, so doesn't like to throw so much.
Yeah, and that's kind of something that I thought about too. Overall, is Robinson going to be the point to where he's going to be fed as much as Jonathan Taylor? I highly doubt it. But just like you said, J.D. McKissic does have the pass catching role like locked. There's going to be nobody else that's going to be more relied on when it comes to that. But Robinson does have his moments here and there when it comes to pass catching. Mike, do you feel just about the same way, or do you feel that like it's like Brian Robinson maybe out of relevancy?
I don't really find anybody in the Washington backfield really relevant this year for me. If anybody, I would probably side with Manny and go with J.D. McKissic just because of his pass catching abilities. The thing about Washington is they have decent receivers this year, actually. Like, I actually really like Terry McLaurin, and I think that Dotson is going to be pretty good as well. So I think having the fact that they have two targets that can actually play, I think will take away a little bit of the pressure from the backfield. But I also feel like the NFC East, while it isn't like the greatest division, it gets NFC least, we hear that a lot. It gets talked about a lot. But at least two of the teams in the NFC East I feel will have stout defensive fronts, being the Eagles and being the Cowboys. Both those teams have like at least 5, 6, 7 dudes they can rotate on the defensive line, who I think will help stop the run. So I don't think will be very successful in at least half of the games they play in the NFC East. So because of that, I wouldn't really take a runner out of the backfield unless he had pass catching ability. I do know Brian Robertson can do that a little bit, but that's kind of J.D. McKissic's role. So I would probably lean towards him being the guy in the backfield. If I had to pick one, that's probably the guy I would target, especially in a PPR league.
I'm going to keep my eye on Robinson just to get an idea of how he plays and things like that. There's another running back that was just about in that range as far as ADP that is now on the rise right now, which is someone that I wanted to talk about a little bit right now, and that's Dameon Pierce for Houston. I was just watching the Niners and Texans game just before we got on, and Dameon Pierce, he's showing some stuff. Like the whole coaching staff is actually really excited about him, and it pretty much goes to the similar question that I was asking just right now. Do you feel that? Actually, I'll answer it, but I personally feel that like Pierce could be a solid enough running back 2 for your team if you pretty much just wait when it comes to drafting a running back. Like he'll be acceptable. He's not going to be a guy the Texans are not going to be a team where they score a lot. They're not going to score a lot at all. But Pierce is going to be what fantasy players want in a running back. He's a person that's going to be likely a three down back. He's a person that's able to catch the ball, and they're feeding him inside the 5-yard line towards the end zone. So he's going to have a lot of opportunities. It's just the question of whether or not, if you believe that Pierce is going to, and the Texans are going to score enough for him to be relevant. So I personally am looking into Dameon Pierce as well. I believe one of the last times I checked, he was running back number 37, and he didn't have the best of showings today, but it was one that can bring your attention to him. So I could see that 37 going up in the top, him going into the top 30 pretty soon.
Are you scared of Marlon Mack? Are you scared of Marlon Mack?
No.
How about Rex Burkhead?
Nope.
Okay. Those are the two that are competing. So I was curious if you think it could be a running back committee down there, and people are hyping him. But like you said, if the Texans, he's going to be a stud. You could tell. But if the Texans aren't winning games and need, a pass catcher, they're going to go to Rex Burkhead or Marlon. Not Rex Burkhead, probably not Marlon Mack.
Right. Yeah, Rex had a nice small little run last year. I think there was like one game where he ended up scoring like 2 or 3 touchdowns in the game, which was even for Rex Burkhead. What was that?
Yeah, it was against me.
I remember. I'm sorry that I'm putting salt into the wound, but
Yeah.
but yeah, that was he went bananas for some reason. He didn't have to, but he did. So he still has like a really small spurt, but I don't think it's enough for Rex Burkhead to like be like the main guy there. I don't. Burkhead was never really a person. He was never like a 3-down back. He was never one where you can like rely on him being the heavy workload when it comes to when it comes to a rushing attack. It was more so, especially with his upbringing in the Patriots, he was more of a guy that just came in during third downs or giving Damian Harris a break or even giving James White a break here and there. So that's the kind of player he is. He's not really a full hit-on guy. We're going to talk about. I just had it. We're gonna talk about Manny's backfield for a second.
Oh, shit.
Rashad Penny just got tested positive for COVID today, so he's going to be out possibly for the next probably 10 days. I don't know what the protocol is anymore, but there is like a bit of a history with players who had COVID can show like a small decrease in productivity. Not trying to rub salt again in the wound, but I'm just saying a small example that I've seen was Zeke when he had it when he had it like not last year but the year before, I believe, and he had like a small like issue as far as getting back to the groove that he's used to. So my question actually is, yes, Kenneth Walker is hurt. Rashad Penny has COVID. So do you believe that Kenneth Walker possibly takes over the role when he's healthy, but do you feel that he's a person that can be like a 3-down back? And once again, it's going back to the thought of, is this man can be considered as fantasy relevant? I'll go back to Manny for that.
And I'm going to sound like a Michigan State homer because I'll go back to what I was saying. One rookie running back is going to make the top 10. It's statistically every year there's one. And my guess is Kenny Walker because of Rashad Penny's injury. I know that Kenneth Walker is getting surgery for a hernia. But Rashad Penny's always getting hurt. He hasn't played a full season since he came into the NFL.
Right.
Prior to the injury or his hernia, the Patriots, Pete Carroll, and all of them loved Kenneth Walker. And people forget, people were talking about Bryce Hall. Kenneth Walker won the running back award for college football. He was in nomination of getting a Heisman Award. So he's a type of running back that can find a hole when it's not given. And that's what Seattle Seahawks are going to have. Their O-line kind of sucks. And if Kenneth Walker can develop can actually catch the ball. He wasn't utilized at Michigan State to actually catch the ball. But if he can do that, he's going to be a top 10 running back just by his skill alone.
If you want a hot take, there's your hot take right there, everybody. That's a good one. I'm actually going to give the next question or the next thought to Mike.
Before we get started on that topic, do not talk about my Zeke Elliott ever again when you have Trey Sermon, Raheem Mostert, and Elijah Mitchell all going down last year.
Oh, God, I love that. I love I could be able to mute the mic.
He has a point.
Let him breathe for just a little bit and go. Okay, I'm sorry. You were saying something, Manny?
Tell him, Mike. If I get muted, you got to have my back.
Yeah, he already knows. I mean, we've gone over this before, so I'm just going to let him have a little bit of a moment. But, yeah, man.
He's like around the horn, he's just giving me negative points.
Look, I'll admit that Trey Sermon, I really wanted Trey Sermon to work last year, and my God, was he terrible.
Debo was your running back, so I don't want to hear. Don't talk about my Zeke.
Another one of my Ohio State guys, man. I wanted Trey Sermon to work for you, but yeah, I don't know.
See, I'm just trying to spit facts here, and then everyone just blasts me because it's the truth. I'm just saying. I'm just throwing it out there. But yeah, so I'm gonna give Mike the cowboy question since Says Manny wants to go ballistic and everything. No, so it's kind of unfortunate, but it is something that I want to look into, and that's Michael Gallup has been confirmed that he's not going to start the season this year on the PUP list, which is usually a positive sign. But it doesn't mean that he'll exactly start or playing at week one. But I want to get an idea on your point of view, because you got Tolbert there. I really wish Washington was playing as well. But as far as the wideouts for Dallas, like, who do you feel, or do you feel that there could be anyone that could step up as far as taking the place of Gallup while doing all this, or do you feel that CeeDee Lamb has to put in a little bit more work during the time that he is out?
That's a good question. Well, according to Jerry, Gallup has a chance, so you never know. I don't think Jerry's going to believe it until probably week one when they're in the locker room. But I wouldn't count on Gallup probably being there for week 1 or 2. I do think the signs are positive that he can be back before game 4, which is why they don't want to put him on the PUP list, because he would have to miss games. But I do think that he should be back. When he gets back, he'll definitely contribute. He's a solid number 2 wide receiver. In his absence, we have the following suspects, or the following guys, right? So we have Jalen Tolbert. We have Dennis Houston, who is a rookie that they're raving about out of a D2 school. I've gotten to see kind of Hail Mary from Dak Prescott in the practice against the Chargers. He looks pretty well. I mean, pretty good. They have Simi Fioco, who they drafted from Stanford a couple years ago. He has a big body. He's fast. He looks good as well. They have Kevontae Turpin, right? I mean, he is a receiver. I mean, he's a special teamer more. Kickoff returns, punt returns, very electric, USFL MVP. But he's listed as a receiver. He did play receiver at TCU, so he's another option. They have Noah Brown, who seems like he's been forever, but they really don't use Noah Brown like that. So
Right.
All these guys that they can go to, but none of these guys are proven. So I don't really know what's going to happen, but I do believe that they have enough, and with the running game, where they can tread water until Gallup gets back. I think they're going to really, really make a push to try to make Tolbert the guy, but keep an eye out for Dennis Houston, because Dak seems to like him. They're raving about him at practice, and he was undrafted, so he's not going to get the same kind of like love that Tolbert's getting. But hearing that name, Dennis Houston. So we'll see. I'm hoping that Dennis Houston, Tolbert, and another sleeper pick would be Simi Fioco. Hoping a combination of those three can kind of help soften the blow until we can get Michael Gallup back.
Just 100% fact spitting over here, and yeah, I'm kind of scared. I am a little bit concerned with Michael Gallup. Like, just like you said, he might end up playing on that 4th game, and during that time, we could see even a little bit more Pollard during the game, since he's a decent pass catching back. We're going to see possibly even more targets for CeeDee Lamb, and as well as Dalton Schultz, which a lot of people are kind of high up on anyway. So it'll be an interesting sight to see as far as what ends up happening. Go ahead, Manny.
Can I also bring, since we're on the topic of the Cowboys with Zeke and all that, I think you got to knock down Zeke a little bit, to be honest. Tyron Smith, one of the best tackles in the NFL, just got hurt. And he's going to be out for the season. So when he was in Dak, or I think the average rush yards was around like 5, and without him, it went down a couple yards. So because now defenses are going to probably blitz a little bit more without him, the tackle, and your number 1 tackle. So that's a little tip as well.
No, that's a great tip. Yeah, that's an awesome take on that, because we really don't have anybody to back him up. I mean, they have the rookie they drafted, Tyler Smith. Do you really want to throw a rookie out there protecting Dak Prescott on his blind side? I don't know. I wouldn't.
Not now.
So yeah, that's a great take, Manny. That's probably going to definitely affect the run game for sure.
And that's kind of a shame too, because
he's a Moreno Valley guy.
Because I know
from our hometown.
What up, man? But it's one of those where it's like it's kind of sad to see it because like it's one of those where like fantasy football aside, like I would really like to see like Zeke just generally do better, but like with having someone so big to the run game or to the O line just be out for the entire season. That's something that like I can't. There's not as much trust as there was going to be overall. So I can't. So yeah, it's a good fact that just demote Zeke down a little bit as much, maybe not as much as you can, but like to the point where you feel that he'll be a little bit more where he should be draft wise. I will do one more bit of news, and we just actually, yeah, just one more. So Myles Gaskin from Miami might be the one person that's going to get cut from the team as far as the running backs that they have over in Miami. And we were just talking about not too long ago how Chase Edmonds, I feel is going to have a really solid year. We talked about that, I believe, the other week as well. Where Chase Edmonds, it just feels like that with the amount of money that they paid him, with the people that's behind him, Sony, and that includes Sony Michel, who I feel, hate to say it, but it shouldn't. I don't feel that he should really be playing in the league anymore, honestly. And Raheem Mostert, who can't stay healthy, like Chase Edmonds is the guy practically there. And if with Myles Gaskins not being there, do you feel that? Well, pretty much that's going to be the question. So, do you feel that Chase Edmonds is like officially the guy now? Like, we'll just do like a simple yes or no instead of going to one or the other. So, what do you feel? Yes or no?
I think yes, because they paid him all this money to be that guy. He has like he signed like super quick too, as in the free agency. I think he was like the first one, and he had a great deal as well. He could catch the ball. He played that role in Arizona. Yep. So yeah, he's gonna be good. I don't know my thing is people are high on Miami, and I don't know how good their O-line is. I don't trust Tua. So yeah, he's gonna be that guy, but how good is he gonna actually be?
It's funny because I don't believe in their O-line either, right? Like they go out and they grab Connor Williams, once again, it's a Cowboy player, right? And they're talking about how that's going to help improve their line. Like I watched Connor Williams play in college, watching at Texas and in Dallas, and he's not that great. So I don't think Connor Williams will come and like change, anything for the backfield. So for me, it's tough. That's probably another team. Honestly, I would stay. I don't know. This might be the first time I've disagreed with both of you guys, but I'm not really into Chase Edmonds. I think he's a decent running back, but obviously Arizona didn't want him, or at least not for the amount of money that Miami's willing to pay him. So I think that Chase Edmonds is good in spurts, but has he played a 16-game season where he's been durable the whole season, or 17-game season now?
I mean, that'd be kind of difficult for any running back to do it.
Yeah, but I mean, has he done it?
Just like a lot of other running backs, I'm going to say probably no.
Yeah, probably not, right? I mean, some running backs are capable of that, but those are the guys that usually going a lot higher in your drafts. So, I don't know. I just think that they're back. I think it's honestly going to be a backfield by committee. I think they're going to ride the hot hand. And I think Chase Edmonds might start off getting the opportunity, but I'm not sure he can. I like Mostert. I know you probably feel a certain way, but if the guy's healthy, I think he's more talented than Chase Edmonds. I really do.
I think he was more talented than Elijah Mitchell when he played against the Lions. Raheem Mostert was like killing it week 1 until he got hurt.
Now, in Arizona's defense for taking away or for not re-signing Chase Edmonds, James Conner was a monster last year. He did have a great year last year.
But James Conner can't stay healthy.
Yeah.
Like you should have kept Chase Edmonds for a backup running back. James Conner's good inside the 20. You could have had Chase Edmonds be your like 1-2 back, and then bring James Conner in for like the power.
So do you feel that he could have been better as like the Tony Pollard of the Arizona Cardinals? I think that's about what you're saying.
I think he'd be a little bit more because James Conner. I don't think James Conner and Zeke are at the same level, in my opinion.
Well,
But
I'm
I
not
think
saying as far as
Chase
talent. I'm just
yeah,
saying like who's the
here you
one
go.
who's the two?
Chase Edmonds could be the Cam Akers to Daryl, like if and James Conner the Daryl Henderson.
Okay, that's a better team, better comparison. All right, I like that. But
But Chase Edmonds have like 1,300 yards and like 10 touchdowns. I could completely be wrong. Who knows? But that backfield, I don't know, man. I need to see. I can't remember last time they had a really, really productive running back. They just do this committee thing. It's just kind of what they do.
yeah, they just don't, or they just never have really.
Ricky Williams, I don't know. Last productive guy, I don't know.
And that's probably the most accurate answer we have. Ricky Williams was the last one.
I have a question for you guys, kind of
Okay.
off topic. I'm doing my draft. I did my draft today, and I'm looking at the free agent wire, right? The waiver wire,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a 3 wide receiver league. What makes me drop Tolbert and pick up Odell Beckham because he's available and he'll be back around October timeframe, November. If you have an IR spot, I feel like you could place him in that IR spot for when he comes back and signs with the team. He's going to sign with the team, and he was a stud at the end of the half with the Rams. So if he finds someone as like a decent quarterback, I feel like he would be a stud. Yes, I'm saying like he usually was drafted way too high in fantasy every year, and he's like down and up. But to get him as a free agent after a draft, and just put him in your IR spot, isn't that I guess that's quality where he's going right now because no one's thinking about him because he hasn't even signed with the team.
Would you rather draft Odell Beckham or Julio Jones?
I would draft Julio, but no one's drafting Odell.
Well, no one's drafting.
Pick him up after the draft.
I asked because people are barely drafting Julio as well, and they're just about in the same ADP, and like at least Julio is on a team, and for what we know now, he's healthy. With Odell, there's still too many questions in my mind as far as one, if he is going to get signed, two, where is he going to go, and three, the place where he does go, is the quarterback quality going to be the same? Because Matthew Stafford, we know he's a gunslinger. That's how he's always been. But if he goes to like if he went back to Cleveland, that would be kind of interesting to be side by side with Amari.
I can see him going to the Packers or the Cowboys, to be honest with you.
Packers, I can see. Cowboys would be very interesting. Don't see it, but it's very interesting. I like that idea. But Packers is probably a more likely just because of their.
Okay, so there. I mean, to pick up Odell, not draft him, and he signs with the Packers and becomes Aaron Rodgers' go-to. He's going to be a stud, or if he comes to I don't know if it's just me because I have Dallas like trade blocks, but I swear there was rumors of him potentially coming to the Cowboys. Am I wrong, Mike, on that?
There were
talks about him possibly coming because of Gallup's injury and our Amari Cooper leaving.
I mean, we're so depleted at the wide receiver position right now. I've heard everybody's name. I mean, I actually, and not to change the subject, but I actually heard people talking about Antonio Brown.
Oh yeah,
which
nutcase.
He's saying, "Hey, come get me." Like I want to play for the Cowboys. So, all those names are being thrown out there, but I definitely heard Odell, and yeah, it's a possibility. I'm like, well, I don't think it'll happen, just because we haven't been that kind of a team in a while. But it's a possibility. It's been floated out there for sure.
Like, what Super Bowl caliber team's not going to want Odell? And Odell can choose where he can go. Like, he chose to go to the Rams, and look what happened. Like, he's going to choose, like you said, a quarterback situation. He's going to choose someone that has a good a team that has a good quarterback. He's he doesn't. I mean, he has the ball in his court.
Buffalo?
If he goes to Buffalo with Diggs in them, that would be insane. Because
That's a done deal.
He'd fill in right with a Emmanuel Sanders role, right?
He'll be Emmanuel Sanders role, and like the Manny Sanders / Cole Beasley role.
Yeah.
And Gabriel Davis would probably be not exactly irrelevant, but like Gabriel Davis would probably be less thought of.
Imagine him signing with the Chiefs. I mean, the Chiefs wide receiver core is not great.
Juju, Mecole Hardman, MVS.
Yeah, not great.
It could happen. Travis Kelce. Yeah.
I think it's kind of a wild play. I'm throwing like it's really random. It might not even work. But if you don't have to draft Odell and you could pick him up after the draft to put him on your bench,
would you keep him? Would you keep him on the IR for that long?
Yeah, I would keep him until like my team's starting to like go IR. But at least you have him. Because what if he comes back and someone needs a wide receiver too? You could trade him off the hype.
Mm-hmm.
Hype trading. That's actually an idea.
I'm doing that. You guys convinced me. I talked myself into it.
He's doing it. So that's it. So this can actually somewhat go, since I was talking about Julio and versus Odell, this can go to our next little portion of the show where it's just going to be simple. Would you trade this or would you draft this person or that person? Now, I only did about like 5 or 6 of them, but the 2 players are players that are pretty close with an ADP. And then a lot of people are just like asking whether they pretty much say that both do have a good argument as far as who you would rather draft. So let's go ahead and actually get started. I didn't write it down, but what the hell? Let's just go ahead and do it. Jonathan Taylor or Christian McCaffrey?
You already know I'm going with Jonathan Taylor on that one. Man. Jonathan Taylor, just more durable, super productive. I'm going to go with Jonathan Taylor.
I'm the opposite. I'm going Christian McCaffrey because the coaching staff came out and said they don't want Jonathan Taylor to run as much as he did last year. They said that they want, and they have Matt Ryan, a gunslinger. So I think Jonathan Taylor's workload might decrease a little, but he's going to be a stud. Like it's Jonathan Taylor. But now you have Pittman and Matt Ryan. I think there's going to get more work, the wide receiver core.
I'm not saying this just to plug our episode from last week, but a certain moderator did talk about that. So that being said, I'm going with Christian McCaffrey as well.
This guy. Trying to
just throwing it out there. Next up, Cooper Kupp or Justin Jefferson?
I'm going Cooper Kupp. Take Kupp over. I just feel like in that offense, until I see differently, they funnel him the ball. I mean, over and over and over again. So I do like Allen Robinson, but I don't think Allen Robinson is the same Allen Robinson he was a couple of years ago. I think Kupp won't have the same year he had last year, but he is the number 1 target. He's going to get super volume. He's going to probably have between 5 to 10 catches every single game, barring injury. I'm going with Cooper Kupp.
Benny?
Justin Jefferson. Because of the news of, I go off like news of, it could be, and it would most likely going to be wrong, but Stafford's arm being, they're concerned about his arm and they're going to take it easy with his arm is what they're saying.
I'm going to say Justin Jefferson, but I wouldn't be surprised if Cooper Kupp still ends up having the better season. I'm not too concerned about the arm of Matthew Stafford because he's tough as shit, and then he's played through a lot more worse situations. But I just like the upside and the opportunity that Justin Jefferson has, and Kirk Cousins is just. Kirk Cousins and Matthew Stafford are practically the same. The only difference is one actually can win football games during the playoffs. Only difference.
That's just 1 year timeout.
Multiple.
Matt Stafford played for the Lions.
Yes.
Didn't win shit.
True. That's
So
true.
you're saying that. So you're saying with.
I do
So
like
you're
Stafford.
saying with Kirk Cousins going or winning one game in the playoffs, you like that. So versus him being in Minnesota.
If Kirk Cousins went to the Rams, they're still making the Super Bowl because of Aaron Donald.
Okay. I can't disagree with that. I do think Stafford is a more talented quarterback than Kirk. But
I do too.
Yeah, but I can't argue with that. I think Kirk Cousins would slide in on just about any team and do just fine. It's not a liability. He can make all the throws, so I can understand that.
It sounds like you're trying to make me argue against Justin Jefferson, even though I said Justin Jefferson.
No, I think Justin Jefferson is the better player. I do, but I just for how the
Which
team,
is like you said, until
also with Dalvin Cook, he gets a certain amount of touches because he's a more dynamic running back than what the Rams have. Really, they kind of more do a committee or Cam Akers if he's going to be healthy. We'll see. So just for those reasons, I would take Cooper Kupp, but they're both great, both great guys.
I'll agree that Cooper Kupp is likely going to be the winner in this until we see that Kupp gets either less targets or Justin Jefferson just gets more. It's going to be one. It's going to be one or the other. I still like Jefferson overall.
The signing of Allen Robinson too could play a factor.
Very true.
Yeah.
Very, very true. Battle of the host here. Deebo Samuel or CeeDee Lamb?
CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah, you know I'm. I'll give it to Manny first.
CeeDee Lamb. Go ahead, Mike.
Okay, CeeDee Lamb.
Well, that's all he has to say. CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah. CeeDee Lamb. Deebo's a beast. They're kind of in similar situations in a way, but I do think that Brandon Ayuk is better than anyone we have at number 2 right now. So I think that CeeDee Lamb is going to be getting the ball left and right. Kind of similar situation to what I just said about Cooper Kupp. And I also feel like we're going to be pretty much forcing him the ball because he's out to prove that he's the number 1 receiver and that he can handle that workload and that he can do that. So CeeDee Lamb is going to be getting the ball so much this year that I think that I would take him over Deebo. And because the way he plays, I also think he could probably stay a little healthier than Deebo. They use Deebo a lot. I don't know if they're going to use Deebo in that same way, running and passing, but using him that much, I think he has a higher degree of possibly being injured as opposed to somebody like CeeDee Lamb. So I'm going to go with CD on this one.
Deebo also said that he doesn't want, like he was going to leave because he didn't want to be a running back. And I trust Dak more than Trey Lance. That's my other.
And probably the most shocking thing of the show today, I'm actually going with CeeDee Lamb on this because based on it goes with the deep. What was that?
I said he's turning into a Cowboys fan.
I'm turning into what? Okay. Anyway, no. As far as the usage of Deebo, that's way too much, and with now San Francisco having a running quarterback, there's usually a negative correlation with running quarterbacks and wide receivers. Like, so my general thing is Trey Lance is not going to throw 4,000 yards this year. And if he's not going to throw 4,000 yards this year, then I don't think that Deebo Samuel is going to have the availability to get the targets, to get the catches, all as far as him to be enough for me to draft him around the same time as far as where he is. I would actually prefer CeeDee Lamb over Deebo.
I'm surprised.
Me too, a little bit.
I state facts. I state my personal facts. But don't get me wrong, I would love for him to throw 4,000 yards, but I don't think it's going to happen. That's just me. One that Manny probably had to think about for a second or two. Justin Herbert or Patrick Mahomes?
You go ahead first, Mike, because I'm still thinking about it from when I drafted.
This is a tough one, man. I think in any other year, I would take Patrick Mahomes. But I think just with the loss of Tyreek Hill and me not being like the greatest fan of Juju Smith-Schuster, I'm going to lean towards Justin Herbert. Justin has a lot of weapons. We know Keenan Allen's one of the best receivers in the league, great route runner. We know Mike Williams can be super explosive and at times even look like he's on that level. Austin Eckler out of the backfield catches the ball beautifully. Probably the best pass catching. Well, some people, guys might say CMC, but one of those two guys are probably the best pass catching running backs in the league right now. So I think I'm going to have to lean with Justin Herbert. That's tough. I really do like Patrick Mahomes, but I'd probably take Herbert.
Mike, we're agreeing on one. I think Justin Herbert as well, because the same thing with Tyreek. Tyreek Hill was a deep threat, right? That opened up a lot for Travis Kelce, for Patrick Mahomes, and everyone in that offense. Now he doesn't really he has MVS, is not Tyreek Hill. He doesn't have that deep threat, and that kind of scares me. And I know we have our bet going on, I think, but they might, I don't know. I don't trust Juju to be the number one receiver. And without that, I mean, I don't know. I picked Justin Herbert. You got Keenan Allen. You got Mike Williams. You even have Josh Palmer, right?
Mm-hmm.
That people are liking. And Eckler. You have the pieces. I think they have like a great O-line as well. So I went Justin Herbert. The rushing yards kind of scare me, but hopefully Justin Herbert got a little faster over the summer.
Another sweep. I'm going with Justin Herbert. And it's not because of the hot take of mine, but no, it goes back to the general bottom line of Justin Herbert just has the weapons, and they're solid weapons, and they're gonna be used. He's going to be a guy that's going to be throwing everywhere. Patrick Mahomes, yes, he's okay. He is decent from time to time. We've seen the man play, but again, and Manny, you see me write about this like a long time ago, right after the Tyreek Hill trade. But one of the first sentences I wrote about Juju was that Juju is not a number one wide receiver, and I still believe that.
Mm-hmm.
But I will at least recognize that Juju has the upside to get there. But I just don't see that I don't see him as a person that'll pretty much catapult Patrick Mahomes into a better range than Justin Herbert. I just don't see it. Sticking to the AFC West, this is usually a hard one that a lot of people ask. Cortland Sutton or Jerry Jeudy?
So I'll go first. This kind of reminds me of what Russell Wilson had at Seattle. Mm-hmm. You have Cortland Sutton as your Tyler Lockett is what I'm going with. Kind of like the deep threat. No, I would say Jerry Jeudy would be more like the Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, Sutton. Sutton. So I think Russell Wilson's going to have more targets to Sutton, but the long ball, like that one or two, like Tyler Lockett would have, like that. Tyler Lockett would go 1 for 50 with a touchdown and get his points. And I think that's what's going to be Jerry Jeudy. He's not going to get the targets like Cortland Sutton. Cortland Sutton has proved that he's a good wide receiver. Jerry Jeudy has yet to prove it to me because he was injured and all that. And he had Drew Lock and all that. But with Drew Lock and all them, Cortland Sutton was actually a decent wide receiver. So now I think with Russell Wilson, it only goes to that next level. So I'm picking Cortland Sutton.
Mike?
You know what? I'm going to agree with one caveat. If you guys haven't seen, well, I know you guys have probably seen it, but for anyone out there who hasn't seen Jerry Jeudy and the routes and the way he was shaking people at Alabama, just go on YouTube and look at that.
Yeah.
So that intrigues me. But like Manny said, Cortland Sutton's more proven. We've seen him do it. We haven't seen Jeudy do that yet. So if I had to pick one, I would take Cortland Sutton as of right now. But it wouldn't surprise me if Jerry Jeudy, this being his, third year now, if he can start pieces together. I do think he is a more talented receiver, but we haven't seen him do it.
Now, I'm personally a fan of Jerry Jeudy, but if we're talking fantasy, I'm going Cortland. And I think the biggest thing that jumps out for me is the fact that, and I heard it from a different podcast that the quarterbacks that Cortland Sutton has caught a ball from, they're all trash. Mm-hmm. Like every single quarterback that he's had in his entire career, all trash. And there was one wide receiver, and that's Emmanuel Sanders, where he caught a ball from him. So add that to the fact that now you got Russ now. you got someone that has the experience of having a decent wide receiver core and things like that, and because of that, like Cortland Sutton can be, I'm gonna say he's the DK Metcalf out of the two. So Cortland Sutton has that availability, and Russell Wilson has that availability to pretty much actually sling it to him the way that he needs to. And Cortland Sutton is probably going to have one hell of a year. And right now they are, I believe, in like the 6th or 7th round area, both Sutton and Judy. But I do like Judy. Judy started out really well last year, but then ended up getting hurt. So hopefully that he does get a little bit better this year. So that being said, yeah, I think another sweep here, Cortland Sutton. This one is actually kind of interesting because they're both going at the same round, but they have two different scenarios. So the COVID running Rashad Penny or Tony Pollard.
You want to go first, Mike?
Yeah, I'll take this one. Rashad Penny or Tony Pollard. I'm gonna probably. Yeah, it's tough. I don't want to be such a homer, but I'm probably gonna go with Tony Pollard. I just think that he has his role is established in the offense. Like, we know what he's going to do. And hearing from what the Cowboys say, they're saying they want to get him more involved. I do think that also with the loss of Tyron Smith, I was saying to kind of pump the brakes on Zeke a little bit. I think that's going to benefit Pollard. I think there'll be more situations where the Cowboys are going to look to pass the ball and use the running back in passing situations. Elliott can catch the ball just fine, but he's not as explosive with the ball in his hands anymore as Tony Pollard. So I would probably take Tony Pollard just because I'm not sure that Rashad Penny will hold off Manny's boy and even be the starter. So we'll see how that happens or how that works itself out, especially in his current state with COVID and all. But yeah, I would take Tony Pollard. I mean, Tony Pollard splits carries with Zeke, and you could honestly use Tony Pollard. Yeah, last year I knew people who used him all throughout the year as the running back too, and he was productive for them. Right. So I would probably go with Tony Pollard in this one because I think his role is a little more his role in the offense is better established than Rashad Penny's. Ooh, can you get that out?
It's tough because like season long, I'm not wanting Rashad Penny, but if we're talking week 1, I'd probably pick Penny over Tony Pollard because he is the starting running back. He's going to get the work. Kenneth Walker's going to be out for a couple weeks. When Rashad Penny actually got the work and he was healthy, that dude was a stud at the end of the season. Like I lost because of Rashad Penny scoring like 3 touchdowns against the Lions. I still remember that, and I was very upset about it. It was a championship game. It was Russell Wilson's last game. But, yeah, he is a stud when he's actually healthy. That's the problem. So if we go week 1 to like 4, I want Rashad Penny. If we were going season long, Tony Pollard.
And that's 100% fair. I kind of want to go Penny with this. Kind of, but like the biggest issue, and it's something that we talked about before, is that offense and that offensive line.
So bad.
It's just horrific. And we have no idea how much we're not sure how much they're going to score on a regular basis. We don't know who their quarterback is still. Geno Smith, I believe, is actually starting tomorrow. So I guess if you really are interested, we'll just look at them first originally. But like, as far as like them being able to hold a lead or have a lead to the point where Rashad Penny is going to be needed, as far as running down the clock at the end, I want to say Penny because of how well he did last year. But I think in this case, I have to actually go Pollard. And I'll actually ask one more question about Pollard right now. With Smith being out for the year, and you guys just brought it up, with Smith being out for the year, with the decline or with the likely decline of Zeke as far as like rushing and things like that, do you feel that Pollard is going to be in the game more as far as pass catching ability if Dallas has to catch up when it comes to certain games?
Well, if they have to catch up, then yeah. But the defense looks pretty good. So I don't know how much catching up they'll have to do. But yeah, if they're in a situation where they have to catch up and they have to kind of go away from the run and go strictly, passing, I think Tony Pollard better play for sure.
The problem with Tony Pollard, and this is the reason why Zeke plays a lot more, is Zeke's one of the best running backs for pass block.
Mm-hmm.
Tony Pollard is not great at pass blocking.
No.
So you can't have Pollard in every time because, I mean, the defense is going to blitz and it's over for Dak, especially with Smith gone. You're going to have Zeke in there for the pass block, for the blitz. Your linebacker coming down the gap. Zeke's not scared to block these guys. He's one of the best to do it. And I think that's what a lot of people don't realize when you're talking football is actually these running backs that are decent with the pass block.
Right. 100%. I mean, Tony Pollard's a little bit smaller to the point where it'll be kind of a little bit more difficult for him to do run blocking. So I can kind of get that. I can get behind that. I'll do
his screen game though. If they could develop him into the screen running back screen, it's gonna be insane.
I mean, yeah, he's like I said. I mean, and not to knock him. I know we talk a lot about his passing, but the kid can run too. I mean, he was like averaging like 5 yards a carry last year.
For sure, yes.
So he can definitely run the ball effectively, but like Manny's saying, he just can't take that kind of a pounding, and he's definitely not the pass blocker that's.
Nope. And I agree with that. So we'll see what happens overall with that. And there's one more, and it's going to be about Manny's boy. Chase Claypool or Allen Lazard?
I'll go first. Allen Lazard, because he's the number one receiver for Aaron Rodgers. Previously, the number one receiver, Devontae Adams. Before that was Jordy Nelson. These guys were studs. They were top 10, top 20 wide receivers in the league. He trusts Allen Lazard. He does not trust his wide receivers. His rookie wide receivers, he came out and said it. And in the past, like I said, even Devontae Adams, even Jordy Nelson, when they weren't the one, they weren't that great. But when they developed that trust with Aaron Rodgers, and that's what you need, they kind of stand out. And he's been praising Allen Lazard even when he was a wide receiver too. And where you getting Allen Lazard? I mean, you're getting a wide receiver 1 in like the 10th or 11th round.
Well, it's kind of why I picked these two options because both Allen Lazard and Chase Claypool are technically the number ones on both of their respective teams, and they both have similar roles, similar type of ways that they play and things like that. But lately, looking at Claypool play, I kind of like what I see on Claypool. So,
you think he's the one?
What was that?
Do you think he's the one?
Do you think Deontay Johnson is?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Claypool.
Mike?
I'm saying Claypool.
I don't know. That's tough, guys.
I think Claypool's a slot. He's going to turn into a slot because you got George Pickens.
Yeah, I heard George Pickens is looking great.
You got Pickens and Deontay Johnson. I think Claypool is going to end up being the slot receiver.
I feel like Deontay Johnson is used more like a number one in their system. But as far as him actually being that, like, is he always going to be on the outside? Like, is he going to be moved into the slot? That I'm not sure about. But I would probably lean towards Deontay being the number one. But
either way, you got Aaron Rodgers versus Mitch Trubisky. So
that's why I would say. I mean, I'm starting to kind of. I don't know. I'm starting to change my mind a little bit about Allen Lazard just because of the opportunity that he has and the quarterback that he has, right? And sometimes it's just being in the right situation at the right time is what, makes a difference, especially in fantasy football. So, yeah, I think in this situation, solely just because Aaron Rodgers, I trust him a lot more than Mitch Trubisky or Kenny Pickett, I would go with Allen Lazard over Chase Claypool. And there's a lot less weapons. Let's say Kenny Pickett is, that guy. He has Deontay Johnson he can throw to. He has George Pickens he can throw to. Rodgers doesn't have anyone else he can really throw to that we know of yet. So I think because of that, Allen Lazard will also have more volume and be a better play than Chase Claypool, in my opinion.
Semi off topic. Would you feel that Jimmy G would be a good pick for the Steelers as far as got traded there?
I think he'd be great there. I think he'd be better than what they have. I mean, but they do say Pickett's looking good. So,
Pickett looks nice, yeah.
Yeah. I'd probably let him go. He's the hometown kid. Let him have his shot. But I think that'd be a nice little landing spot for Jimmy G. We know Jimmy G wins. I mean, he might not win the big game, but I mean, he can get a team.
He wins.
He can get a team to.
He can get you there. Exactly.
He wins. He's a winner
for sure. I had one more, but I think I'm gonna cut that off because we're running a little bit over than what we usually do. So that being said, Manny, you're always a guy that always has last second things to talk about. So is there anything on your mind?
With my draft, I was just thinking because I'm disappointed, but as I'm thinking about it, I'm like, man, I do have a solid team. Like DJ Moore, I have DJ Moore as my third wide receiver. He hasn't, and you kind of brought it up with Cortland Sutton. He hasn't had a quarterback that could throw him the ball. Right. Yes, Baker Mayfield isn't the greatest. I think he is pretty decent quarterback. I mean, he led the Browns to their first playoff appearance in forever. They kind of treated him like crap when he was.
And I was going to say, along with DJ Moore, the reason why I'm high on DJ Moore, it's kind of the same reason as Cortland Sutton, as far as who's been throwing the ball to him. And DJ Moore, in most of his seasons, I think, if not most, in all of his seasons, he's had 1,000 yards catching.
Yep.
So 1,000 yards receiving each and every year, with trash quarterbacks.
Yep.
So there's no reason why where even the most mediocre of quarterbacks, in this case, we're talking Baker Mayfield, there's no other reason why I would think that DJ Moore can't do it again.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm personally a fan of DJ Moore this year.
Yeah. Well, that's all I had in my head. I was thinking next week we do predictions, like the NFC, who's gonna win Super Bowl.
We're gonna get to that. Mm-hmm.
All right. But college football starts this weekend. I'm literally, I know Mike, you're not college. I don't know, Will, you like Stanford. Well, now you like Missouri, but I'm excited for college football to start, to be honest with you. Maybe we'll talk a little bit of college football on this show too, since we all like it.
Yeah, most definitely. I'm super excited about it. Like I said, I mean, I believe Ohio State will be great, and we'll see what happens. There's a lot of teams that intrigue me. Though, because Texas intrigues me a little bit with they're just recruiting everybody, and going to the second year in Sarkisian's system, and Quinn Ewers, who left Ohio State, who I thought would have been a great player, but I understand he didn't want to wait behind C.J. Stroud and have to battle with Kyle McCord, so he's going to Texas. I think that's going to actually work out for him. I mean, only been 3 perfect recruits in the history of college football, and he's one of them. So that's crazy to have a .99999 rating in high school. That's amazing. So really interested to see what he can do. To see if they can, that week 2 game against Alabama, Texas and Alabama is going to be, I think they're going to get blown out, but it'll be a great game. And if they can find a way to win, I mean, he's going to be a legend in his second game. So yeah, I'm super excited for college football. I think there's going to be some surprise teams out there. Utah looks good. I'm out here I'm in Pac-12 territory out here. So people are excited about USC. People are excited about Utah, Oregon. So yeah, man, I'm really looking forward to it. It should be a lot of fun this year.
And the reason why I say we could talk college, because it'd give you a tip if you're listening for next year's draft, like some sleeper picks for next year's rookie class.
They're going to be everywhere. Remember that. Just not too long ago, I ended up reading about I was just doing some research about the 2016 draft, and I didn't realize that Tyreek Hill was pick 147th or something like that. He's between 140 to 160. He's in between one of those. So the fact that there's going to be places where you're going to find diamonds in the rough. So now that diamond in the rough won a Super Bowl, and now he's in Miami.
Mm-hmm.
And God knows how well he's going to play this year. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that is our show. As always, if you're not following us on Instagram, go ahead and follow us. Nxt Up Fantasy, NXT UP FANTASY. Mike is pointing there somewhere, but it is there. I assure you, it's there. And Manny is just being Manny. And if you like pretty much everything that we talked about on here, click the like button, click the subscribe button, turn on your notifications whenever, so that you know when we pretty much hit up anything new as far as news, notes, a new weekly show. And I assure you that we're going to be doing more stuff on YouTube. So just be on the lookout for that. And just like that, that's going to be the official wrap. And we're not actually arguing at the end of the show like we usually do. So let's try to keep this civil, see if this continues. Let's see if we can get a streak going on. For Mike Thesis, what up, what up? For Manny being Manny. Well,
Jeff Wilson was also a running back that got hurt last year.
And he fucked it up. All it takes is one thing. All it takes is one thing.
But no, it was a pleasure, guys. It's always fun. So
it's always fun. I'm your boy, Will. Everyone have a good night, have a good evening, have a good afternoon, morning, whenever you guys are watching this. See you guys next week. Done.
We are